Okay, so I always find it super interesting what the opposing team's players, what the opposing team's coach is going to say about the Green Bay Packers leading up into that game that week, especially when it's such a high profile game like this first matchup with the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, which is this quote unquote rivalry, right? So, what did Matt Eberflus say about the matchup? What was he quoted as saying? So, let's get into it. So, Matt Eberflus said, we have acquired a lot of players, and some good ones if you look at both sides of the ball. So we feel good about our players. We're excited about the matchup. We're excited about those guys being able to go against our rival. I love the word excited there with Matt Eberflus. So I don't think he would have been saying any Chicago coach would have been saying they're excited against the Packers. Going against the Packers has always been this moment of like, even coaches that have been hired into Chicago, they've been like the number one thing that they say from the podium is like, hey, listen, my number one goal here is to beat the Packers, not just to go to the playoffs or anything like that. It's like my number one goal is to beat the Packers, and the Bears fans, the Bears just community as a whole, they eat it up, they love it. I think it's hilarious. So Matt LaFleur has been 8-0, 8-0 going against the Bears. Okay. That's huge. Okay. But let's step outside Matt LaFleur. So let's look at what has the Packers record been the last 14 games against the Bears. We've won 13 of those games. That's absurd. That's not a quote unquote rival. I know historically that's a rival, but the have absolutely dominated in my lifetime with Favre and Rodgers. They've dominated the Bears. Obviously, the shoe was on the other foot in before my lifetime, but that hasn't been the case since I've been a Packer fan with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers under the helm. And now hopefully we get to see that same type of success with Jordan Love. Time will tell, but Matt Eberflus is feeling super excited about it, not just against the Packers. Matt Eberflus is feeling super excited about it against the Bears. I'm sorry, against the Lions, against the Packers, and against the Minnesota Vikings. He thinks that they've addressed 75 to 80% of their issues that caused them to be 3-14, which is absolutely abysmal. So he feels that they've done that, whether it be through free agency, whether it be through the draft. I'm not taking anything away from it. I think they're building a really good franchise there, and I think that they've really done an outstanding job compared to previous years. So they are going to be a team that is going to be a tough out this year, and especially in the next couple of years to come. But you're seeing that same sort of rebuild in Detroit. Detroit's about a year or two ahead of everybody, and you're seeing that same sort of rebuild in Green Bay. So let's look at the key matchups though going into this game, and are there any injuries that will affect the potential outcome of this game? Packers, they're facing being down Watson and Dobbs potentially with the hamstring. So we all know Dobbs missed the last preseason game because of the hamstring injury. Will he be there? I have a feeling. I think Dobbs will be there come week one, but I don't think Watson's going to be able to suit up. So who's the next man up? Next man up on the outside is none other than undrafted free agent Malik Heath. So this is a guy that we were like, hey, I think he's going to get some reps, but I think he's going to get the starting nod, honestly, because I don't think Watson's going to be there. So you could have a guy like Malik Heath, undrafted, undrafted free agent that might be seeing the field a lot more than anybody anticipated leading into week one. So who's the next guy up? So you got Dontavian Wicks also. So Dontavian Wicks has been battling his own demons and injuries there. So Matt LaFleur, though, can't say enough of good stuff about Wicks, that he's gotten his body healthy. He's gotten his body ready. Mentally, he's been there. Mentally, he's prepared. So that's really not an issue. You've obviously got Samori Toure there. So they're going to be really young at the receiving cast. And then you've got Luke Musgrave, right? So Luke Musgrave is going to be a guy that's going to have to step up come week one as well. We all know tight ends in this league. When you get drafted, you're at least a couple years out. But Luke Musgrave is a unique guy. I think he's special, and I think we're going to see how special he is. Maybe even come week one. Let's talk Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari, obviously, he hasn't been suiting up every once in a while, but we all know he's been on the Matt LaFleur modified practice list, which is he's hoping to, just kind of ease him in, not play him every day in practice. That hopefully he'll be able to, with that modified list, he'll be able to suit up for every game. So obviously we know Wicks and Gary have been limited in practice, but we expect to see both of those guys come week one. Who are the Bears down? The Bears are going to be down Dylan Cole, and potentially Brisker. So Brisker is a guy that's been making the headlines as well as putting his foot in his mouth, which I love it because it's fuel to the fire. He's been quoted as saying he hates the Packers, and I don't blame him. I would hate the Packers too. If I had to play against the Packers, I would hate the Packers. And you have Aaron Rodgers doing his thing saying, I own you. I own this city. Is Jordan Love going to continue that same, not necessarily that same type of cockiness, because he's got to have a few years to build that up. But are they going to be able to, maintain that level of dominance? Time will tell. Time will tell. I mean, we're only a couple of days out. We obviously have the Detroit Lions playing tonight versus the Kansas City Chiefs. But we're getting closer. We're getting a couple days away between the matchup with the Bears and the Packers. I love what Matt Eberflus had to say. I think it is, I would take it into the locker room as a little bit of fuel to be like, hey, listen, this guy, this coach, he's excited to play us. That should mean something to us. Anyways, go Packers, out.